We only kept you because ending the pregnancy was too costly back then. The room laughed. Not the kind of laugh that finds humor, the kind that finds permission. I felt my mother's voice still hanging in the air, sharp and proud, like she'd just delivered a punchline instead of a verdict. Plates clinked. Someone refilled their wine. No one looked at me. Some words don't hurt immediately. They wait until you understand them. Hi everyone, my name is Nathan Cross. I'm the son my mother introduces last. The one she jokes about when the room feels warm enough to burn me alive. The dining room glowed gold, but I felt cold. My hands rested on my knees, clenched just enough to remind myself I was still there. My mother smiled, enjoying the attention. She always loved an audience more than she ever loved me. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. Don't be sensitive, she whispered. You were expensive enough already. That's when it hit me, she wasn't joking. The smell of food turned sour. The laughter blurred into noise. I remembered nights she reminded me what I owed her. Every meal. Every roof. Every breath. I stood slowly, my chair scraping the floor. And in that sound, that small, ugly sound, something inside me finally cracked. Not loudly. Decisively. No one stopped me when I walked away. That hurt more than her words. The hallway felt longer than it ever had. Family photos lined the walls, birthdays, holidays, smiling versions of me cropped just a little too close to the edge. Proof I existed, never proof I mattered. Outside, the night air slapped my face awake. I stood on the porch, breathing hard, listening to laughter spill through the door behind me like I'd never been part of it. I remembered being 7, asking my mother why she never hugged me first. She said, affection spoils boys. What she meant was affection costs. My phone buzzed. A text from my cousin. She says that stuff all the time. Don't take it personally. That was the problem. It was always personal. I walked until my legs burned. Until the house disappeared behind me. Until the silence felt earned. At a bus stop, I sat down and stared at my hands. Same hands that washed dishes for her. Same hands that worked double shifts so I wouldn't know her as much. I realized then, she didn't see me as her son. She saw me as a debt that never stopped collecting interest. And debts, eventually, demand to be settled. I didn't go home. I went to my apartment and dug through a box I'd avoided for years. Old documents. School papers. Things she'd thrown at me during arguments like evidence of her sacrifice. At the bottom was an envelope. Medical. Hospital logo. Dated before my birth. I opened it slowly, like it might explode. Inside were consultation records. A doctor's note. A single line highlighted. Procedure cancelled due to financial constraints. My chest went numb. I wasn't a choice. I was a calculation that didn't balance. I sat on the floor for a long time, the paper shaking in my hands. Not crying. Not angry. Just understanding. At 1:43 a.m., my mother texted me. You embarrassed me tonight. You could have just laughed. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Then I locked my phone and set it face down. If this ever happened to you, say same in the comments. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment I'd begged for approval from someone who priced my existence. And I made a quiet promise. She would never laugh at me again. The next morning felt eerily normal. I went to work. Answered emails. Made coffee. People saw me as calm, dependable Nathan. No one noticed the fire being banked under my ribs. During lunch, I called the hospital listed on the document. I asked for records. Gave my full name. The woman on the line paused. Oh, she said. Yes. I see the file. My pulse slowed. You were discussed extensively, she added. Your mother was very practical. Practical. After work, I visited my mother's accountant. Same man who'd been at every family gathering since I was a child. He didn't recognize me at first. Then he smiled politely. "Oh, you're her son." Just that. Her son. No name. He talked freely. Mentioned savings. Investments. A trust fund that bypassed me completely. "She always said you'd manage," he chuckled. "Said you were low maintenance." I thanked him. Outside, the sun felt brighter than it ever had. Because I finally understood my role. And once you know the script, you can rewrite the ending. I didn't confront her. I became invisible again on purpose. I attended dinners. Smiled. Let her brag about me like a trophy she never polished. I recorded when it was legal. I remembered when it wasn't. She grew careless. She was a burden, she told a friend once, talking about her sister. Like Nathan would have been if I hadn't toughened him up. Toughened. I hired a lawyer. Young. Focused. She listened quietly, then said, "This isn't about money. This is about exposure." At the next family gathering, my mother raised a toast. To sacrifices, she said. Some of us give more than others. I stood. My voice didn't shake. I played the recording. Her words filled the room. Clear. Undeniable. We kept him because it was cheaper. No one laughed. The silence was violent. And for the first time in my life, she looked at me like she was afraid. The fallout wasn't loud. It was surgical. Relatives stopped calling her. Invitations vanished. Whispers followed her through rooms she used to own. She came to my apartment weeks later. No makeup. No performance. I did my best, she said, crying. You don't know what it was like. I nodded. I know exactly what it was like, I said. You reminded me every day. She reached for me. I stepped back. That broke something in her face. I gave you life, she whispered. No, I replied. You charged me for it. I closed the door gently. Because revenge doesn't always slam. Sometimes it simply refuses to reopen. Time passed. I built a life that didn't need permission. Friends who chose me. A home that felt warm without conditions. I heard she tells a different story now. One where she's misunderstood. One where I'm ungrateful. Stories don't survive without believers. One day, a letter arrived. Her handwriting unsteady. I hope you understand one day. I did. That's why I didn't answer. I framed the hospital document instead. Hung it where I could see it every morning. Not as pain. As proof. That I survived being unwanted. That I became more than a budget mistake. And that love doesn't ask for receipts. Last night, I hosted dinner. Laughter filled my home, the real kind. Plates passed. Stories shared. No one owed anyone anything. Someone asked about my mother. I smiled softly. She taught me what not to become, I said. And that was enough. Because poetic justice isn't punishment. It's peace. I wasn't kept because I was cheap. I stayed because I was strong.